let's move away from the oil and gas sector for just a moment and talk about small businesses. A report by cybersecurity firm Sophos has revealed a surge in attacks on small and medium businesses globally, not just in Nigeria. Unlike governments and big companies, small businesses are becoming more vulnerable. Well, let's look at some of those areas or gaps that are exposed to cyber attacks and how small businesses can protect themselves. We have a risk expert joining us right now. Adedamola Bobade joins us virtually. Hi, Ms. Bobade, good afternoon. Thank you for your time.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so that finding actually focused on small businesses, which we know for a lot of developing countries, small businesses is actually the blood for development because they make up more of activities, economic activities, even though in their small numbers of values, but they still make up a whole lot more. What are some of those risks that they're exposed to?
Okay, so I would say when it comes to cyber attack right now, I would say lack of awareness about cybersecurity and its importance. I would say that when it comes to cyber attack, I believe awareness and education are important, especially among small business owners. I think that one thing that people need to understand is that whether you are a large enterprise or a small organization, you are at risk if cybersecurity is not prioritized in your organization. You see, many business owners constantly put themselves at risk because they don't understand the importance of cybersecurity. They probably feel like the organization won't be affected because, they are small or they are at their early stage of starting the business. And I believe that this is a wrong mindset to have, and it's kind of a mindset that puts such small and medium scale organization that put them at risk of getting attacked by cyber criminals. Another thing I would say is that businesses that are probably just aware about cybersecurity and its importance and are open to putting the right structure in place often have fewer resources and lack security expertise, which make them vulnerable for to cyber criminals taking advantage of their lack of adequate security infrastructure, and this can cause a breach, for example, or a cybersecurity breach or risk breach as well. And it can compromise their accounts. You see that money that they are not willing to spend right now to put the right structure in place. When there is a cyber attack, they would actually spend that money, or even spend something they will even have to spend more than how much they're not willing to incur right now. And I'll also say finally, let's say they are aware that they have the resources or they're willing to put the infrastructure in place. I think frequency is something that needs to be emphasized. This will involve conducting regular cybersecurity training to ensure that every business owner, especially small business owners and their employees, are aware of the current security regulations and infrastructures that need to be put in place. And one thing I would say lastly is that cyber attacks do not appear once. So regular checks and updates are really important to prevent this from happening and to prevent small and medium scale organizations at the target of cyber criminals.
So I hear you about the need for enlightenment and education and all of that, but what are they using? What are the hackers using to get to these businesses? What gaps have the businesses left open?
Okay, so I'll say two gaps actually comes to mind right now, and the first one is the exploitation of human error. Human error is the most common reason for cyber attack and data breaches, and with studies showing that it is responsible, it's an individual responsibility actually to protect ourselves, using the right password. And a breach can be caused by employee accidentally sending sensitive information to the wrong email, losing their company's smartphone or laptop, or using default password. In my line of work, I've had to deal with incidents where employees misplace misplaced like company smartphone or laptops, or even just are not sensitive, or they're not keeping like confidential information as they ought to. So I feel like just that human error and thinking that you can just not take the necessary steps that you need to take. Yeah, despite this risk, many small companies do not have like the necessary control. They still do not have the training. They need to train their employees. They need to expose them. They need to inform them about, okay, this is what, if you do this, this is the consequences, and this is how it's going to affect the business. So I'll say another thing is weak password usage. Understand as small organization need to use different platforms. It could be for operation purposes, it could be for communication, or if they want to purchase materials, for example. So it can be really challenging to maintain different passwords, which I mean, ideally, that's like for security purposes, they should not use the same passwords. The employee they could use easy to guess passwords, such as password 123. That's an example that comes to mind. Or they could use the same passwords across different accounts, or they could share their passwords with their fellow colleagues, and that is really not like a really good thing to do. So just using the same passwords, or sharing passwords across accounts, this can give like an opportunity for hackers to exploit small and medium scale organizations. They become vulnerable, and this really makes the business vulnerable.
Yeah, so I hear about the passwords, making it as complicated as possible and secretive as possible. But you also cited one example, which is what if somebody loses a laptop, a computer, a phone that has sensitive information? What first steps can an individual take to protect such?
Okay, thank you so much. Like I said, in my line of work, I've had to deal with like similar incident. I think one thing that small organizations, what they need to put in place is to ensure that they put the right structure in place. For example, if an employee like loses his laptop or it was stolen, for example, they need to understand, okay, this is like maybe the IT that I need to call, do I need to report to my manager? Within how many days do I need to report to my manager? So the first step is, okay, report to your manager, and that right structure needs to be put in place, because if the organization doesn't put that structure in place, then the employee will not know what to do about this. So putting the right structure in place to ensure that, okay, when I've noticed that this incident has happened, I need to reach out to my manager about this, then the manager will reach out to the IT team to ensure that, okay, if the necessary steps need to be taken to ensure that these cyber criminals do not get access to the phone or to the company's laptop. So I'll say that's the first step. Just putting the right structure in place, and to ensure that employees are educated on the structures that are being put in place when they find themselves in this situation.
So you keep saying putting the structure in place. We know, I mean, for small businesses, every kobo is a big money. So, like, how much investments should small businesses be looking to protect their data?
I would say there isn't an exact numerical amount or percentage of revenue or IT budget that a growing organization should dedicate to security. Rather, I would say that the right level of security depends on several factors, including the location of the organization, the sector that the organization or the small business is in, the type of data like they handle, and the type of data that they store, and the regulatory requirements that the small organization needs to abide by, and the complexity of like its IT infrastructure. So organizations that hold sensitive data should spend more money on data security. So cyber criminals, having access to confidential information can affect the business continuity. So, I mean, I'll just use an example. If if small businesses, like there's a client that shared really confidential information. Confidential information could be address, could be bank statement, which obviously this is not made known to the public. If they have access, if cyber criminals have access to that, it will actually affect the integrity of the small and medium scale organization, and the client won't want to work with such an organization anymore. So the right amount, I won't say, okay, this is the exact amount that needs to be put in place, just depending on how sensitive the data that they have access to, how sensitive that information is. Then based on that, they can decide that, okay, this is how much I need, or this is the right amount of budget that needs to be put in place to ensure that this doesn't happen, our client's information doesn't get out there, and it shouldn't affect our business continuity.
Yeah, so your reports or research gave attention to female participation, especially in tech. And how has that been? What's the trend in that?
According to a report by the World Bank in 2024, women make up to about 1/3 of the world workforce in technology-related field. So currently, women make about 37% of the tech workspace. That's a significant improvement, to be honest, when you compare it to the early 2000s, where where women make only about 9%. There's been a great improvement, and I believe that there is room for more. In this season, we are seeing initiative to ensure that we achieve our goals and in empowering women and allowing more women in the tech space. I think there's an initiative about it's about cybersecurity, where girls are being trained and just having the right knowledge and the skills that is required for them in future. So we are not there yet, but initiative are being put in place to ensure that we get to where we want to be. But comparing to how it was before, I think we've really done a good job.
All right. Thank you so much, Adedamola Bobade, risk experts, for sharing those tips, especially with small businesses.
Well, thank you for having me.